Hey guys, what's up? Miss Jill back for another episode of Cooking in My Parents' Kitchen, science that you can eat. So I was thinking we'd make something kind of fun. I mean, most of them are fun, but this one seems really exciting to me. So we are gonna make bread in a bag. And to go along with that bread, we're gonna make some butter. So let's get started. What we need to do first is get our ingredients together. I've already gotten them together for the sake of time, but what you need is you need a large bowl, the best I could do, with a gallon-sized Ziploc bag. You need 3 cups of flour, 3 tablespoons of white sugar, 1 of these packets of instant rise yeast. This is 3 packets in this sleeve, but you only need 1. 1.5 teaspoons of salt. I did some regular salt, some garlic salt, just because I wanted to add a little bit of flavor. Do whatever you want. 1 cup of warm water, 3 tablespoons of olive oil. So the first thing we're gonna do, you're gonna put your Ziploc bag inside your bowl like this, just so it's easier to handle. You're gonna scoop 1 cup of the flour into here. Next, we're gonna add the packet of yeast, this. And try not to make a big mess because yeast is kind of weird. Okay, let me talk for a minute about what yeast is. Yeast is in all types of bread that are not vegan. I think some vegan breads. I think you can use yeast in vegan bread. I don't know, don't quote me. But yeast is a live organism. This little packet, it's a live thing in there. It doesn't move around like a bug, but it is alive. It is a fungus. And when yeast reacts to water, sugar, flour, it creates a reaction which makes the bread rise. So that's why you get nice fluffy bread and it's not all flat like a tortilla, because a tortilla is a type of bread that doesn't use yeast. Moving on. Oh wait, no we're not. And we're gonna add 1 cup of water. And our tablespoons of sugar. Oh no. Sugar. Water. Done. Our next step is gonna be to let all the air out of the bag and seal the bag. And we're gonna leave it sitting for 10 to 15 minutes. This will give the yeast time to react and rise. Very simple. So here it is for your viewing pleasure. It looks pretty gross, smells pretty good. I'm gonna set it over here and I'm gonna check back in with y'all in about 10 to 15 minutes and show you what it looks like. Okay, I waited about 13.5 minutes to let the yeast activate. And before we do anything else with this bag, we're gonna talk a little bit more about yeast. Like I told you before, yeast is a live fungus, and it needs warm water and a food source, which is the sugar, to be able to wake it up. It's asleep in its little bag, and you wake it up by giving it some food. That's how a lot of you wake up in the morning. Same kind of concept. So what you'll kind of see, you can kind of see it. I can see it a little better, but there's bubbles in here. You see like right there, right there, right there. There's bubbles in here. And this is the yeast releasing carbon dioxide when it is activated. And the carbon dioxide bubbles are what make the bread rise when you cook it. And I think that's really cool. So let's get back to our mixture. What we're gonna do next is we're gonna open it back up and we're gonna add another cup of flour. I'm gonna try to make a little less of a mess this time. I made a big mess last time, but that's pretty on brand for me. 1/2 cup. And 1 cup. There we go. There's that. Flour off my fingers. And we're going to add our salt. Like I said, I added a little bit of garlic salt, a little less than half probably. Gonna sprinkle that in there. And we're going to pour our olive oil in. Easy. I will wash those when we're in our next waiting time. And now we're going to mix it. This part's pretty fun to me because it feels kind of gross. It kind of feels like you're playing with slime. And I like playing with slime. It's one of my favorite things. Those of you that come to my ranch know that Miss Jill loves some slime. You're going to mix it just until the flour's kind of gone. You'll see it being kind of powdery in there. You want to make sure that it kind of gets into the liquid and becomes a little less dry. Don't want to mix it too much. It's very important that you don't sit here for 15 minutes and mix it. Okay, next we are going to open it back up and we're going to add our last cup of flour. Half a cup. And 1 cup. I made a huge mess. Oh well. We're gonna release some of the air from the bag. And we're gonna do the same thing we just did. We're gonna mix it up. And now you'll notice it kind of gets harder to mix it because it's becoming like really solid. And this might take a few more minutes. You gotta make sure all that flour gets incorporated nice and easy. Because when we do this, it's gonna become much more of like a dough and less of like water. And next, what we're gonna do is, this is gonna be kind of fun. This part's gonna be kind of cool. We are going to take it out of the bag. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna flour right here. I'm gonna tilt y'all forward just a little bit so you can kind of see the counter a little bit. If the camera falls, I'm very sorry. Gonna flour it up. If you have parchment paper, I'd recommend using it. Thought we had some, guess we don't. So there we go. And flour on this surface will keep the dough from sticking to your counter and getting it even more nasty. So we're gonna unzip the bag. We're gonna kind of have to like peel the dough out of here. Kind of turn the bag inside out. And you see how it went from like a watery mess to now it's like a whole solid dough. And you see this part didn't get to mix with the flour that great because it was at the bottom of the bag and I just didn't do that great a job mixing it. That's why it's really important to make sure you mix it really well. And see, there's still some left here. I'm just gonna throw this whole bag away because it's pretty gross. And I'm gonna add just a little more flour on top. It doesn't say to do that, but I've made a fair bit of bread in the past. And we're gonna spend about 10 minutes kneading this. Now I'm gonna save y'all the boredom of watching me play with dough for 10 minutes. And I'm gonna turn off the camera and come back in about 8 or 9 minutes so you can watch the end, because you see it's pretty gross right now. Like, you might need to add a little more flour. So stay tuned, we'll be right back. Okay, it's been about 10 minutes. I'm done kneading it. It turned into like a nice ball of dough. And what we're gonna do next is we're gonna preheat our oven to 375. Mine's already doing that. You're gonna grease a loaf pan. If you don't have a loaf pan, use any kind of pan. It really doesn't matter. This is just gonna kind of make it into the shape of a loaf of bread. And I'm gonna show you what I'm doing with my loaf right now. So sorry. I have it here on the counter. I kind of floured it underneath. I laid it here. I put a warm, damp rag underneath. You're gonna let it sit for 30 whole minutes, 30 entire minutes. Do not touch it. Do not check on it because it's gonna about double in size. Sometimes maybe a little bit more, and it should maintain its shape if you did everything right. So what we're gonna do, what we're gonna do is get started on our butter. You're gonna need a mason jar, and you're gonna need some heavy whipping cream. Not half and half, not milk, heavy whipping cream. And you're gonna fill your jar a fourth to a half of the way full. It doesn't matter how much you fill it. It's either gonna give you more or less butter depending on, and it's gonna take longer if you put more milk in it. Half and half. Heavy whipping cream, sorry. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna start shaking it. It's probably gonna take about 30 to 45 minutes for you to shake it, which is why I'm doing it while the bread's rising. All you need is the heavy whipping cream in the jar. I'm gonna add a little bit of salt and some paprika and some chili powder just to kind of make it fancy and fun and not just plain old butter. So I'm gonna sprinkle in just a dash of salt, just a little bit, just a dash of paprika, just an itty bitty bit. No, it's not really coming out. An itty bitty bit of chili powder. And you're just gonna start shaking. Make sure your lid is on real tight so it doesn't go everywhere. And you're just gonna start shaking, just like that. I'm not gonna make y'all watch me shake this for 30 to 45 minutes because I feel like that would just be incredibly boring. But you just shake it, and as it shakes, the molecules become closer together and they lump up, and that's what creates butter. And at the end, you should have a little lump of butter and some milk left over. That's what's called buttermilk. I know you've all heard of buttermilk. We're from the South. We cook with it all the time. And that part, you just drain it off. You can keep it if you'd like to keep it for cooking or to drink, whatever. And you rinse off your little thing of butter, and you got some butter. Easy peasy. We're going to check back in with this a little later, and I will check back in with my loaf in about 30 minutes. I've got a timer going, and our oven should be preheated soon, so whenever 30 minutes is up, we should just be able to pop it in the loaf pan and pop it in the oven. So I will check back in with y'all later, and I'll let you know how the butter goes. Okay, so just so you know, I was severely misinformed on how long it would take to make this butter because it's been like 10 minutes and we have butter. So I'm going to go ahead and pour it out and show you how to rinse it and show you the buttermilk and everything. And then we've got about 5.5 minutes left in letting the bread rise, and then we're going to put it in the oven. So let's tilt you forward just a little bit so you can see the bowl. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pour the buttermilk into the container right here. My dad loves buttermilk. I do too. So I know he'll probably want to drink this. Made a lot of buttermilk. Like, I'm really surprised. All right. Buttermilk set aside. It smells good. Okay, next what we're going to do is I got some water here so I can rinse the butter. I'm just going to pour this into my hands. Kind of gross. Don't really care. Look, that's straight up butter. That's so cool. We're going to rinse it off just a little bit. I'm going to squeeze it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to mold it. Ugh, I got butter in my ring. I'm going to taste it. It's good. It's really good. It tastes like the butter that you get at Cracker Barrel. I know that's like a really specific butter, but it does taste like that. It's really wet. I'm just going to wipe my hand off real quick. And I'm going to grab this little dish, put it in there. We're just going to pop it in the fridge just to keep it cold. And we have butter. Like, that was so cool. And we're just going to stick it in here. And then, I've got butter all over my hands. And then, when the bread finishes rising in 3.5 minutes, we are going to put it in the oven, bake it, and when the bread's done, we're going to cut a slice and have some fresh homemade butter on a piece of hot, fresh homemade bread. So, see you in a handful of minutes, and then we're going to take another break, let it cook, and then we'll be back. Okay, so the timer just went off. Our bread is done rising. So, we're about to look and see if it got any bigger. It definitely has. And then we're gonna put it in our greased loaf pan. I couldn't find any cooking spray, so we're using olive oil. And okay, so I'm gonna turn you so that you can see what our bread is doing. You see them? You see our little loaf of bread? All right. It definitely is at least double what it was. There's a little bubble right there, cute. All right, so I'm just gonna scoop it up a little like this. And we're gonna stick it in our loaf pan like so. Doesn't have to be pretty right now because it will get pretty on its own. And we're gonna stick it in the oven for 25 minutes. And when we come back, we're gonna try our bread and our butter together. So stay tuned. I just wanted to show you how much our bread has risen in less than 10 minutes. So that's what the carbon dioxide bubbles are doing because the yeast reacted to the warm water and the sugar. And all of this is coming together to make this a really cool looking loaf of bread. Like, that really looks like one you bought from the store. So we'll wait another, I think it's 16 minutes, and then it'll be done. And we'll have some awesome bread. Okay, our bread is done. It looks really good. I'm about to show y'all. here it is. We have our bread. We made it in a bag. Now let's get it out of the pan. Whenever you do this, please make sure you have a grown-up do this part for you, because this is very hot and it's metal, which will burn you so bad. I'm just cutting along the edges just a little bit, not even cutting, just kind of separating it from the pan. I'm gonna flip it out, and this is really hot. There we go, we have a loaf of bread. So cute. We made it ourselves. So, I'm gonna get a bread knife. I'm gonna get our butter out first. Here's our little dish of butter. It's gotten a little more firm. Okay, and we have our bread knife. This is hot. I'm gonna cut off the little butt end because I just don't like eating those parts very much. Ooh, it's steaming. You see all the steam coming up? But we got a nice little piece of bread. I'm gonna get a napkin to set it on. We're gonna scoop these things out of the way real quick. And we're gonna take a little bit of our butter that we made, and I'm just gonna spread it on our nice warm piece of bread. Okay, are we ready to try it? That's really good. It's way better than store-bought bread. So good. And this was so easy. Okay. Well, I know this was kind of a long process, but that's what we got for today. Summer reading is going to be starting soon. Parents, check our website and our Facebook page for information about where and when to pick up your packets for summer reading. We're going to have them for all 3 age groups: early literacy, middle grades, which is age 6 to 11, and teens, which is age 12 to 18. Don't forget that we have started curbside pickup at all of our branches every day of the week. You can call your local branch for more information, or you can check out our website and Facebook page and place a hold, and we will call or email you when it's ready. Until next time, let me know what you want me to try in our science kitchen that belongs to my parents. Until I get to see you again, please stay safe, please be kind, please be helpful, and I will talk to y'all later. Bye.